Today is Monday, January 29th. I'm Joe Ellison with a look at what's happening in the news. 3 American soldiers were killed in a drone attack on a U.S. base in northeast Jordan near the Syria border. More than 3 dozen others were injured, some with injuries so severe they had to be medevaced out of the country. The Biden administration says Iranian-backed militant groups are to blame, which Iranian authorities deny. An attack drone targeted the remote outpost where the soldiers were stationed and landed near where a group of service members were sleeping. These are the first U.S. deaths after a month of strikes on American forces in the Middle East since the start of Israel's war in Gaza. And there are concerns this could draw the U.S. into a wider conflict. In South Carolina Sunday, President Biden said that the U.S. will respond. House Republicans released 2 articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas Sunday. In the 20-page resolution, the Republican-led House Committee on Homeland Security accused Mayorkas of high crimes and misdemeanors, including, quote, the willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law and a breach of public trust, unquote, regarding the situation at the U.S.-Mexico border. The Department of Homeland Security responded to the articles with a memo calling the impeachment effort a distraction. The committee plans to meet on Tuesday to further edit the articles and potentially hold a vote to pass them. If the articles pass the committee, they then go to the full House for an impeachment vote. After that, it would be up to the Democrat-led Senate. The annual point-in-time count is a count of sheltered and unsheltered people experiencing homelessness on a single night in the last few weeks of January. It is a crucial measure that shows us the sheer scale of homelessness in America. An organization in Ada County, Idaho, conducted their annual pit count January 24th. Local social workers say they know the number isn't entirely accurate, with some slipping through the cracks. But as Andrew Bartline explains, the trends are clear.
It's hard to put a number on it.
How many people are literally experiencing homelessness?
But it's a figure the feds need.
An annual report to Congress.
And only made possible by local boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Casey Mattoon manages the Ada County count.
I've always had an orientation towards issues like this. Like, how is this the collective community saying, yeah, we're okay with this?
Annual point-in-time counts go back to 2012, where numbers have peaked and dipped, but remain largely unchanged over the last decade. That's due to how the count is conducted.
That we can have a conversation with on the day that we're measuring.
And we know this is just the floor.
It's a difference of hundreds.
To qualify for the count, Casey and his team first need to find people and make face-to-face contact.
I was walking around at 4 a.m., like in this same area down the Greenbelt, doing interviews with folks.
Then that person has to actually want to be part of the count too.
And some folks just don't want to engage, and either one of those things is totally okay.
Finally, they must meet the actual definition of homeless.
They're staying in a temporary emergency shelter, temporary housing, which is a very specific program. Or they're on the streets, in their car, or in a place that's not meant for human habitation.
It's reality for hundreds in Ada County alone.
A lot of this work feels really personal about the community.
And local social workers say there's no secret behind the problem.
Housing in this community remains unaffordable.
And less common. The annual housing inventory count shows the number of emergency shelter beds has increased significantly over the last decade. That's the teal line on top. But transitional beds, rapid rehousing beds, and permanent supportive housing, it's all dropped over that same period. It's reality that's in the way of the overarching goal.
End homelessness in our community.
But it doesn't have to be.
It's not a question of whether or not we can do it. It's a question of whether or not we get enough actors and funders leaning in to scale what we know works to address the problem that is in our community.
Today is the start of tax season, meaning the IRS will now begin accepting and processing 2023 tax returns. Now, you don't have to go it alone, though. Free online tax software programs can save you time and hundreds of dollars in filing fees. Plus, they can also help you include valuable tax credits. Ron Trevino explains how and where to find them.
Why is there a good chance you don't have to pay to do your taxes? This week, the Federal Trade Commission ordered the company behind the tax filing software TurboTax to stop advertising free products and services unless they were actually free for all consumers, or if the company disclosed the actual percentage of people eligible. The company had been accused of making it tough for average Americans to navigate its system without being pushed into a paid option. But according to Consumer Affairs, there are actual free options out there. You just need to know where to look. If your adjusted gross income is $79,000 or less, you qualify for the IRS Free File program. That includes guided tax prep software for your federal taxes. If you make $64,000 or less, are disabled, or have trouble with English, you can use the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program from the IRS. The Department of Defense also has a free tax program for service members. The IRS is also launching a pilot program this year, and Texas is one of the states taking part. If you qualify, you can electronically file your federal tax return directly with the IRS for free. According to CNN, this program will eventually be an alternative to private tax preparation companies, but right now, they're testing it out in just over a dozen states to see how well it works.
5 zebras, 4 camels, and a mini horse. Not what you would normally see on the interstate in Indiana. But while they were traveling to a circus, the semi-truck carrying the animals caught fire and needed some rescuing. Anna Chalker spoke to the officers who helped save the circus animals over the weekend.
As an Indiana state trooper patrolled I-69 Saturday morning, he came up on this semi-fire. But when he got closer, he couldn't believe what was inside.
Camels, zebras, and a mini horse.
Dozens of them from Shrine Circus. When Trooper Edward Titus got closer to the scene, he immediately went inside the burning trailer to get the animals out, while surrounding departments kept them from going into the road.
It's awesome to see that teamwork that they get together and they do their job. And, you know, they will go inside of a trailer that has smoke that's filling up because the cab is completely engulfed in flames.
While the officers have never been called to save the circus before, this is something they'll never forget.
That's definitely a very unique situation to have to deal with, not only the semi-fire, but our vehicle fire, but yeah, with those types of animals in the state of Indiana.
In Grant County, Anna Chalker, 13 News.
The stage is set for Super Bowl 58. It will be the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers in a Super Bowl rematch from 2020. The 49ers defeated the Detroit Lions 34-31 in the NFC Championship game Sunday, keeping the Lions from what would have been their first Super Bowl. The Chiefs dominated the Baltimore Ravens, with Patrick Mahomes throwing for 241 yards and Travis Kelce having 11 catches and a touchdown, securing a 17-10 victory. And of course, Taylor Swift was at the game and was on the field to congratulate Kelce on the win. It's the Chiefs' 4th trip to the Super Bowl in the past 5 seasons, giving the defending champs a chance to be the first team to win consecutive Super Bowl championships since the New England Patriots. The Super Bowl is on February 11th at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. That is just about 2 weeks from now. You're all caught up. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jo Ellison.